Welcome back, everybody. This is Chapter 3, Act 3 of Let's Play the Colonel's Bequest, a Laura Bow adventure. If you should feel a sudden burning sensation in your ears during this session, please don't panic, because that is simply our guest commentator, who I'm incredibly delighted to have with us, Burning Sensation. So we had just seen Wilbur reading at the end of the last act, and
of all the characters, I guess Seeley is kind of nice, and then Wilbur is, other than that, likes anyone at all, really.
But Wilbur's the only one who literally does not say anything negative to you. I suppose you can't do
the lecturing. Yeah, there's maybe a motive behind that. So.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so let's head back in. I had one more thing. Looks like something has gone wrong again in the 3 seconds that we were out of the room.
We can see that there's been signs of, a struggle. At least Laura sort of astutely notices that the chair seems to have been knocked askew. We can see at least two things on the ground there, sort of a long silvery thing, and some pink stuff. Of course, Laura is unable to notice that if we just look at it. So let's just go ahead and, stop pretending we know that it's feathers. And
I think, so we can see that there have been feathers on the floor, which might have come from either a pillow or a feather boa. I can't think what kind of pillow would actually have
pink feathers,
small pink feathers in it. But, I guess they wanted to at least give you two ideas. And there's a poker, which is probably a bad sign. I can't think why it would be here. But,
the chair's knocked over. There's any signs of a struggle, so
something bad has happened, we can assume. And this is interesting because, in both cases, we don't exactly know what happened to Wilbur yet, but if you remember, Gertie disappeared right after we saw her, and she had what might have been an accident. People can fall out of windows. Let's see what Wilbur
and the table was knocked over there, so potentially be signs of a struggle. And we have the chair here, so...
Yeah. Looked like Wilbur was reading about horses right before whatever happened. So he's still very dedicated. I don't know if Sonny Boy is supposed to be the one that they bought. If you're looking at the back there, we've seen the silhouette go by 2 times in this one scene. So.
Yeah, I think you might get an idea of what it might be a little later on, but it's never really clear.
Yeah. So we have also we will not deign to pick up the feathers, because unlike a fireplace poker that we found on the floor, we can think of no reason why we should carry around those. Well, in the last update, we sort of went around and told everybody about Gertie being missing. There was one person that we missed who was actually not there, and that was Colonel Dijon. So I think maybe the thing to do is to go and see what he's up to.
Good idea. And
as usual, we will want to look in the armoire first. And what is this on the floor? This is the first thing of many things this chapter, which you can find in a whole bunch of different places. It was lucky for me that I found it here, because that sort of consolidates everything. But there is a cane. Now,
is it random where they end up, or are they always there at a specific time? Or
the time is specific, but I think the secret passage it's always going to be in a secret passage.
Yeah, but is it after a certain time, and then you can't get it afterwards, or is it?
I think it will disappear after just this 15-minute segment. And oh my goodness, if we are watching this, you might have wondered whose cane that was. Well, apparently, Colonel Dijon, he is able to walk, which is sort of a strange turn. He certainly had affected the personality of walking or being wheelchair-bound before.
I think it was Gertie earlier who said something about the Colonel not being what he seems.
Yeah.
So maybe she knows. There's a potential there for
That is interesting. And if you think, the other person who would potentially know about that would be Wilbur.
Yes.
The doctor, who has now gone missing. So, instead of going in and confronting the Colonel about that right now, let's take a look upstairs. Just to see what Fifi is up to. She is
reading a book by the looks of it.
Yeah. And what is significant up here, I mentioned before that the game doesn't always... if I skip through descriptions, that's because I have multiple save states, or multiple... You can't do save states. Multiple saves going, and we've already got some of these descriptions. So I just sort of skim through them. Anyway, what's important up here is you can see the decanter of cognac down at the bottom. That was down in the parlor before. And it has now been moved up here, so Fifi is apparently planning to do something with alcohol later. I guess we can leave that up to our imaginations. But this is one of those things that the game doesn't actually give us any clues that this is important, but it is important to our final score that we have noticed this.
One of those odd things that just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't actually look at it, it won't actually count it. Which is...
That's a very good point. If you enter the room, you, the player, have seen it, but Laura has maybe not. She basically only looks at exactly what you tell her to. She's got narrative blinders on for the rest of the time. So here's the old Colonel. As you can expect, or might expect, we can't actually confront him about what we have just seen. Laura simply lacks the words to do so. But we're about to see another one of those things. If you remember this room from earlier, Wilbur's doctor's bag was in here. And it is now missing, which is probably ominous. I imagine he has all kinds of deadly things in his bag.
One of those things that you have to look at, otherwise it doesn't count it. So.
Exactly. Yep. So there's Colonel doesn't want to hear about the bag. Out of curiosity, one of the things that I never did, Burning Sensation was actually the one who taught me about asking people about two things. Asking them about two people at the same time. Of course, Colonel Dijon is just cantankerous as usual. But I had never told him about, I hadn't told him about Gertie because he had been missing. And, nobody cares.
I think this is a good point to bring up something I've always wondered. Well, not always. I mean, it's like I'm staying up late at night wondering about this game. No, but I wonder why nobody reacts to what Laura tells them with regards to bodies piling up. Because, I mean, one of several things is happening here. Either A, people are legitimately getting killed. B, Laura is in that case and is seeing things. Or C, Laura is actually actively lying to people and telling them their family members are being murdered. All of which, in my humble opinion, are cause for at least some alarm. But, nobody seems to give a fuck, which is... It's almost like they think she's adorable for coming up with these stories like, and then you have to wonder just how exactly she's breaking the news to them, since given some of the, you're just seeing things or your mind is playing tricks on your comments, it kind of makes it seem like she's strolling in going, hey, what's up, guys? Oh, by the way, I found Gertie dead outside. Anyways, scramble.
Yeah. And,
if you're any kind of sane person, which in Williams' world doesn't seem to exist apparently, you'd expect her to be freaking out, going, I went to Gertie's room, shit was knocked over, the windows were open, I can't...
This is gonna be called Joy in a minute, when everyone's... this is gonna be called Joy. This is gonna be called Joy in a minute when everyone's this is gonna be called Joy. This is gonna be called Joy in a minute when everyone's this is gonna be called Joy. This is gonna be called Joy.
The wine that only eyes may drink.
Let's just take a quiet minute there to appreciate Rudy's upraised fist at Clarence, and Clarence just steely staring off into the distance as Rudy sort of motors on elsewhere. We know that the two of them don't care for each other. Well, anyway, here's a decision point. We've got things going on inside and outside, just like before, side quest and main quest. So take your pick, and we'll see after the break.
Yep.
All right, so it looks like we have chosen to go outside for this first bit. We have had enough of Laura not telling people anything that is helpful about the murders, and we are also maybe a little curious about where some people have gone, where Wilbur is. So let's go ahead and see what we can see around the mansion grounds. I'm sort of taking a different path that I normally would, going outside as opposed to inside. But I think the first thing that we want to do in this situation is go talk to the one person that we have actually befriended, who is Celie. Interestingly, the game does keep track of people that you befriend, and Lillian does not count, even though she's supposedly been your friend for a long time. I wonder how good of a friendship that was.
It's actually very rare that you get an opportunity to talk to Lillian.
Yeah.
Which is, as you say, as her friend, it's quite bizarre.
Well, Celie is not here, and so we, there not being many other places that she could be, I think we have to go and check her shack, where she was living earlier. Yeah, Lillian being your friend, I'll bring this up later in the update, brings up an interesting point, because you'd think you'd have some kind of camaraderie with her, or something. Hold on, I'm talking to kittens. Hey, gamer. Okay,
This isn't now.
They also, if you try to, I think, use the bathroom, it'll say, what do you think this is, Leisure Suit Larry, or something like that. So,
yeah. No, it definitely says that, yeah.
They have a couple shout-outs. Anyway, Celie is glad to see us and invites us in. This point is where it is good that we gave Celie the necklace from before, because Celie will invite us in and talk to us. I think, as you'll see in the opinions later, she has transformed from someone with no opinions to just a real fountain of information.
Well, I mean, this is Celia in her whole father, she's the maid before, and she has a job to do, and she doesn't want to, make opinions about anyone. So, I mean, now that you're here as her friend, it makes sense. So, she'll actually talk. I mean, before she was very tight-lipped about everything.
But what would happen if we had not magically known to look for Beauregard in Beauregard's house for the necklace? What would have happened if we never returned that? Well, Celie would not be as friendly at all. She would take longer to get to the door for some reason. And
the thing about it, the interesting thing is that you wouldn't know that something was off, because this is how Celie acts earlier in the game. So I mean,
that's
it seems
interesting.
Like this is just Celie being Celie.
Yeah, you just think, well, I guess I can't really talk to her. That's that. But
that's that. Yeah.
There is no mention of the necklace anywhere, I should say, in the game. I mean, I don't think you can get Celie to talk about her missing necklace ever, and no one ever brings it up. So I will have a lot of conversations with Celie in the thread, but again, I won't put you through me asking her about everybody. But we do actually need to leave and come back in, and that does one thing different. I don't know if this is a hard requirement, or if it was just something that never worked for me, but there is one item in Celie's shack that is just absolutely necessary, and I was never able to get to it when she was sitting down. I had to have her up cooking her boiling pot.
I managed to do it.
Okay, then I guess it's just easier than to get it this way. It is the carrot. This is the second food item we have stolen from the staff at Misty Acres here. No.
Well, it does say she gives permission, so I mean...
Yeah, I mean, you get permission and everything, but I don't know, I just... Crackers...
Yeah, people wander into your home and just take your food, it's...
Yeah. I guess she's the cook, so... Interestingly, they described the carrot as juicy. And that's not a word I usually ascribe to carrots in general. In fact, I would think that would have to be like a very rotten carrot or something for it to be juicy. So, anyway, that is enough with Celie. We are her friend, and we are better for it. I think we're going to head over to this part of the island now for reasons unknown to everyone except for the LPer and possibly Laura. Now, if we remember, the other part of the note that we found written to Sarah Crouton said that the bell will toll one final time. Oop, time out though. It is Drunk Ethel time, which is always my favorite time. Jeeves was wondering... Yeah. She has her own theme, and it's great. We've had that description before. But, yeah, she's either clearing her head or wandering mindlessly, given that she's apparently just almost falling down and has her drunk playing.
As far as I understand this part, you can follow her, and she sort of does circles and stuff, but it doesn't actually do anything.
Absolutely.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Which in any other adventure game at the time would have been significant. You know, if you saw someone wandering someone, you could follow them. You'd know it would eventually lead to something,
That's
and
really
you get points
true.
and whatnot. But with this game, it's like just a red herring that doesn't do anything, doesn't mean anything, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And there's Ethel specifically walks in such a way that at the end of the loop that she does, it looks like she might go one way or the other. You're not entirely sure, so you end up feeling like you've missed which direction she's gone in, and then you feel like you have to do it all over again. Meanwhile, you're just wasting your time. Which is pretty annoying.
One of those things that they throw at you, that some things really, really look important, and in fact
They just
they're
aren't, yeah.
just huge red herrings. Anyway, we have oiled the bell. It was rusty, and we are going to stand here and try to ring it one final time. The placement of Laura here is important. I'll talk about that more in some future update. But there goes the bell, and well, thank goodness we did that, I guess. Let's maybe look at it, see if anything is going on with it. Absolutely. There is some kind of old metal crank. This seems a little strange to me. Supposedly, they left this for Sarah, their daughter. The croutons left this for their daughter to find. So, they, I guess, must have rigged up the bell to fall the next time it was rung and hidden a crank on top of it. That seemed extremely dangerous, because she would have been fairly young at the time.
She was 100 to have been splashed.
Yeah. And, I mean, I guess if the thing rang instead of falling, then that wouldn't have worked. And also, it seems like it must have been some decades since that happened. But, well, anyway, speaking of Sarah, let's go back in and see where we found there is Wilbur. Now, yeah, exactly. So, what must have, someone must have hit him over the head. And, no, there's no one here right now. I can't think. Perhaps the killer was trying to drag him into the swamp, or bury him in the graveyard or something, and maybe we sort of came upon them and they had to ditch the body quickly. That's really the only reason I can think for dragging it out here.
You can actually stumble upon Wilbur in the stable instead. I'm not sure if that's related to where you end up going first, or if it's something related to time or what it is. But
that's an interesting question.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I have found him in both places, and I know that there's a number of things. The cane is one, and some other things later in the game that you can find in 2 places. So I'm going to have to do some more investigation and see if that's random or time-based, or at least sometimes it's time-based. Well, we didn't want to take Gertie's pearls back in the day, but we have no compunctions about taking Wilbur's monocle. And it's a good thing for us that we did, because this is now our magnifying glass that we will use to see objects up close. And we're actually carrying around a number of things that we
because
are
that's
doing.
how monocles work.
Exactly. Yeah. Wilbur has this because his eyes normally see things very, very far away. So with the aid of the monocle, he can get his binocular vision.
Yes.
So we found some blood on the poker, and we noticed that the hanky actually belongs to, I assume, to Ethel Prune. That's what I imagine EP would be for. So we found that right outside of Gertie's room, only after she was dead. And
now remind me, what motive would Ethel have had to kill Gertie, if any?
She certainly did not get along with Gertie. She did not. They didn't see eye to eye, as all the Ethel said. And let's just go ahead and back. Oh, sure enough,
disappeared.
Teleporting bodies. Also, all the blood is cleaned up off the floor. So this is a neat and tidy murderer, whoever this is. An alternative explanation that it could be that Laura is losing her grasp on sanity. This is increasingly less likely because we have the monocle now.
Hey, didn't you sit on that chair earlier and break it?
I did. And
Tisk.
I will have to break this off camera. No, you are you are breaking the suspension of disbelief of my viewers. Maybe the murderer, while traveling through the island and cleaning up blood and dragging bodies around, saw it and just thought to mend it quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That totally could happen.
This is a Roberta Williams game. So
Anything is really on the table here. Well, here's Blaze, and we didn't really have much to do with him earlier, but now we have a carrot, which is also the only carrot on the island, and the only item which is possible to make Blaze be friendly to you. You can see that he whinnies softly, as in friendship. So apparently Laura is just a horse whisperer and knows she knows what Blaze likes. This is important. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. If you did not befriend Celia, it's impossible to get the carrot. Is that right?
Absolutely. And
which then would make it impossible to get what's behind the horse.
Right. And I think, I actually think I showed off Blaze being bad in the intro video, but you definitely need that carrot before you open the gate. There is no other way, and we need this lantern. Now, yes?
It kind of reminds me of Quest for Glory games, which you could actually have a plot central item, and then there was a give command, and you could say give anything essentially to characters, and then you wouldn't know it was a MacGuffin or
sure.
a plot central item, and it would just be like the guy would just be like, oh thanks.
And then it's gone forever.
You carry on playing the game and never know that you're giving this thing away.
Yeah.
That was important somehow, and you just be screwed. And that was it.
This is sort of a long chain of things that has to happen more or less perfectly for something good to happen later. And note that now we technically have everything we need to finish up the side quest. However, that is foiled because Laura cannot find a way to light the lantern. That she cannot conceive of maybe lighting it with one of the gas lamps inside, or whatever. This is almost an Easter egg to me, because I don't know how you would know to look in here. This is one of those Jeeves cellar things. It's always been locked, and,
Oh dear, what's happening here?
That Lillian's in here. Maybe she's getting away from it all. Maybe she's, writing or something, or maybe she is reading to dolls from a book. Now let's see what Laura thinks about this. Well, I would say that is a bit odd that your 20-year-old friend is in a dilapidated locked playhouse reading to dolls.
What's odd about that? That's every Sunday for me. That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's doll reading time. Just a little curiosity here. There's actually no dialogue for looking at dolls. Not even I don't see dolls here, or dolls
no, you
don't
can't
matter.
click on them or anything.
Yeah.
I've tried looking at things in this place and it just doesn't.
This is sort of a weird
that
place.
reinforces the your idea that it might be an Easter egg of some sort. Because it doesn't look like they put much effort into this.
No.
Actually, at least until later. Later something happens.
Yeah.
Not to spoil anything. But
we will be back here later, is what we will say. So, Lillian does know that she doesn't know about dolls, even though she's clearly reading to them. She's mostly just surprised to see us here, and interrupting us, so she's apparently thinking of them as people, or something like that. She doesn't have much to say to us at all. I bring up a lot that Laura is sort of pathologically non-confrontational to herself and to others. This one really takes the cake for me, I think. Because, let's just say, for the sake of curiosity, that, that you believe that none of the bodies were real, or it was the swamp playing tricks on you or something. You would at least tell somebody that your 20-year-old friend was reading to dolls in a playhouse outside. That's unbelievable to me that you wouldn't confront her or anybody else about it. Anyway.
There isn't even the opportunity for you to actually tell anyone. If you tell about Lillian, it doesn't acknowledge the fact that she's in there reading to dolls.
It's just sort of this general, what's she been up to now? We're like,
exactly.
Nothing. I have no idea. Anyway. So here's Rudy, again accosting Fifi. He apparently has gone after her and gone to her room. He is getting creepier as the night goes on. And Fifi is apparently just tired out by that and having gone to bed. I think we can assume that the glasses that she's placed up here were not for Rudy, so we at least know that she has no interest in him. That's just pretty much it for that scene. Just sort of, it can sometimes be hard to have much sympathy, I think, for Phoebe, because she knows what she's doing in a lot of the conversations. But she certainly didn't ask for Rudy, or for him to, be aggressive like he is.
Yeah.
So going back to talk with the Colonel, we may notice he is gone, and so is the elevator. This part is frustrating for two reasons for me. I have actually noticed that the elevator was downstairs, so I went downstairs, and then the elevator was upstairs, so I went upstairs, and then the elevator was downstairs, and that's happened 3 or 4 times before I was able to get a hold of the thing.
Well, I mean, in this span of as you said, 3 seconds, a body can be cleared away, so I mean, it's not unusual at this point.
They could be remodeling the upstairs of the house, I suppose, in the time it takes it to go down. This next part here, I actually left in just to give you guys a little peek into how specific these text parsers can be. There is a panel in the elevator, which we have the key for, and we need to unlock it to get to a new place. So
I had a lot of trouble with this myself when I was playing it.
It says you don't.
I was testing, to help you out, and
yeah.
I had such a hard time trying to get this thing to go.
It says we don't have the right key. We absolutely do. I promise that the brass key is the key for this, and it's just it cannot fathom what I want to do with this key. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll go up. Maybe for whatever reason, that figure in the background there again. And that's probably just be a given. I probably won't point that out in the future. I feel like whoever that is just pacing back and front there. So, yeah, there is a. She doesn't see a panel, but there is a panel. There is absolutely a panel in the elevator.
Actually, we were. Speaking of this, we were actually talking yesterday about how I had this theory about how Roberta Williams and Ken Williams, then the owners of Sierra, essentially, how they would make their puzzles in their games as obtuse as possible in order to kind of force you to have to phone the Sierra helpline, which at the time cost a hell of a lot of money. I think it was like $2 for a minute, every minute.
Yeah,
and some of the puzzles are so ridiculous and such a stretch that you couldn't help but have to phone. And back in those days, you couldn't just shout the game and forget about it. I mean, that was when you bought a game. That was the game you had, and that was the game you played for as long as you had it. So I mean, absolutely, you just couldn't just leave it.
I think different games do different things to extend gameplay, and it's certainly frustrating, I think, in RPGs when they extend gameplay through just grinding. And, grinding forever, nobody really loves that, but either extending gameplay or forcing you to call the hint line through just these really obtuse puzzles. By the way, unlock elevator with key was the magic words. You had to say unlock, and then this brass key in the panel, of course, let me just do that. So we can see this is the attic, which we've not been able to access before. You get points for however early you can get to the attic. This is as early as you can get there. I have no idea why they would offer you points for that, but that is a thing that happened. We here learned that Colonel Dijon was a war hero in the Spanish-American War, with several bullets to the pelvis and shoulder areas, while attempting to carry someone to safety, which does not much sound like his personality. I think we've had little hints throughout this that he's maybe not quite as bad as we think he is. That he's sort of an okay guy. Although he sort of wrecks that every time we try to talk to him, and he's just, get out, I hate you. But,
I don't think he was planning on having Laura come over, during his, during this weekend that he's having, telling people he's going to bequeath them all this money.
Yeah.
So I think she's not part of his plan, whatever it is he's cooking up, because he's obviously cooking something up. I mean,
I agree with that.
There's just no doubt.
Nah, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, he might just see us as sort of an X factor, something which he doesn't know. I mean, he knows
something
everyone else
he didn't account for.
Yeah, he probably knows how everyone else is going to react, more or less. I mean, it's not like they're tremendously complex characters. I mean,
let's face it, Laura is incredibly nosy. So, if you have this woman wandering around telling you about all these random things and asking about everyone, it would seem kind of annoying.
Yeah,
I would imagine. And
that's
someone
true.
like him.
I mean, the thing we did was, before we knew anything was wrong, we found a secret passage and spied on him with his maid having an affair. So I could see that not being, the most. So up here in this trunk, we find a large officer's cape, leather gloves, colonel's hat, and an old pair of army boots, presumably from his war days. The game seems to think, for whatever reason, that that's important, and it may well be. I will simply say that, so keep in mind those are up here. This is something I had never done before, and I don't know why, but I had always taken the elevator back down. But you can unlock the door up here.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. We will go in this door eventually, but it was kind of a big point that it was locked at one point in time, so we'll see. I wondered if you could close the door. But as it turns out, Laura does not know how to close the door from this side. She can only close it from this side. She's bless her. She does her best. Yeah. Curiously, I think she might be sort of an autistic savant or something. That she might just be tremendous at watching people and sort of getting clues. But, that would account for a lot if you think about it. She has apparently tremendous difficulty communicating what she's found with anyone. So, maybe we're looking at some sort of a social disorder here, is what this is.
Well, some kind of. I mean, your first thought when you are confronted with, people dying around the place is if your first thought is to go exploring, to go looking for more bodies.
Yeah.
Clearly something's right. I mean, she's not the sharpest tool in the shed, let's put it that way.
She focuses on things. Well, it's time for Parrot Update. Parrot Update number 2. And this one, I think you'll find to be considerably more interesting, because she's after me, oh, so afraid. I'm going to come out and say I don't know who this is talking about. I don't know who she is or who the speaker is. I will say it seems unlikely that it would be Gertie or Wilbur, because they were both relaxing when they disappeared. So
That's true.
No idea. Well, if you guys want to go back to the selection screen, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll see you for the ending here in just a second. The wrap up of this chapter. Maybe we'll talk more about who the parrot could have been talking about in the thread, but for now. Okay, we have done just about everything there is to do for this chapter. We have found Wilbur, we've examined some things, we've found Lillian reading dolls, we found out that the Colonel can walk. So we have really just a tremendous amount of knowledge about the inner workings of this household. We can do, of course, nothing with them. But, hey, let's just head into the billiard room, see what's going on. Another one of these earth-shaking revelations, and yes, Gloria is listening to music.